Feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're trading your time for money with no way out? Welcome to Detailed Book Summaries, where we break down the best books to help you level up your life and business. Today, we're diving into Buyback Your Time by Dan Martell, a game-changing guide that shows you exactly how to stop being a slave to your schedule, reclaim your freedom, and build a thriving empire. Whether you're an entrepreneur or just tired of burnout, these strategies will help you get unstuck and win big. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe to Detailed Book Summaries and hit the notification bell so you never miss an insight that can transform your life. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The True Currency: Why Time is Your Most Valuable Asset. Have you ever felt like you're working nonstop, but still stuck in the same spot? Like your to-do list is endless, and your dreams keep slipping further away? What if I told you the key to true freedom and success isn't working harder, but buying back your most precious resource, your time? This book flips the script on how we view success and productivity by reminding us that time is the real currency. No matter how much money you make, if you don't have control over your time, you're still a prisoner of your own life. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. Every second that passes is gone forever, and that's why mastering your relationship with time is the foundation to getting unstuck and reclaiming your freedom. Most entrepreneurs and professionals fall into the trap of trading time for money. They say yes to every task, every meeting, every urgent request, and before they know it, their days are swallowed up by low-value busy work. The result? No time to focus on the things that actually move the needle. But what if you could buy back that time? Not just with money, but by strategically offloading tasks, automating processes, and leveraging others' expertise. That's what this book is all about. Using your money and resources to reclaim your time so you can focus on your highest impact activities. Buying back your time doesn't mean being lazy or shirking responsibilities. It's about working smarter, not harder, shifting your mindset from "I have to do everything" to "what can I delegate or automate so I can do what only I can do?" Dan Martell shares a powerful story from his own life. Early in his entrepreneurial journey, he was drowning, working 18-hour days, answering emails at midnight, juggling every part of his business. He thought hustle was the only path to success. But it wasn't until he consciously bought back his time, hiring help and building systems, that his business exploded and his life transformed. The lesson? Success isn't about doing more. It's about doing less of the wrong things and more of the right things. The 80-20 principle, or Pareto principle, plays a huge role here. It shows that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your activities. Your goal is to identify that critical 20% and pour your time and energy into it. To do this, you have to get ruthless with your calendar and commitments. Ask yourself, which tasks only I can do? What tasks can I delegate or outsource? What distractions can I eliminate? These questions are the key to buying back your time. Dan gives you a practical, immediate action step. Conduct a time audit. For 3 days, track every minute of your work, every email, call, meeting, and task. When you see where your time really goes, often to low-impact activities, you can start making intentional choices about what to cut, delegate, or automate. This self-awareness is a foundation for breaking free from overwhelm and stepping into a role where you lead your business and life, not get trapped in the weeds. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a manager, or a busy professional, this message resonates deeply. To build something extraordinary, whether it's a business, a side hustle, or a fulfilling life, you must start with your relationship with time. Buy back your time isn't just about productivity hacks. It's about reclaiming your freedom, creating space for what matters, and designing a life where you call the shots. Chapter 2. Identifying your time thieves. What's stealing your freedom? Before you can reclaim your time, you need to know exactly where it's leaking away. The truth is, most of us have hidden time thieves lurking in our daily routines. Those sneaky habits, distractions, and obligations that quietly steal hours from our day without us even realizing it. Chapter 2 dives into uncovering these time thieves and understanding how they sabotage your freedom and your ability to build the life and business you want. The first step is brutal honesty. When was the last time you truly audited how you spend your day? Most people think they're busy, But they don't realize that a huge chunk of their busyness is spent on low-value activities like endless email chains, back-to-back meetings with no clear purpose, or mindless scrolling through social media. These distractions pile up until they consume the majority of your waking hours, leaving you drained and overwhelmed. Dan Martell points out that these time thieves aren't just external distractions. They often come from within. Perfectionism, procrastination, and the inability to say no are some of the biggest internal culprits. For example, the desire to do everything perfectly leads to spending hours on minor details that don't move the needle. Procrastination, fueled by fear or lack of clarity, makes you waste precious time avoiding what's truly important. And the fear of disappointing others or missing out leads to saying yes to every request, spreading yourself thin. One of the most powerful lessons here is learning to say no. This simple word is your greatest tool to protect your time. Saying no isn't about being rude or unhelpful. It's about setting boundaries so you can focus on the things that truly matter. Dan challenges the common belief that you have to be everything to everyone. Instead, he encourages you to become intentional with your yes. Each yes should align with your highest priorities and goals. Another time thief Dan highlights is the inefficiency of multitasking. While it feels productive, multitasking actually fragments your attention and reduces the quality and speed of your work. Focusing deeply on one task at a time not only saves time, but leads to better results. He recommends batching similar tasks and blocking out focused time on your calendar to avoid the temptation of jumping between tasks. Dan also stresses the importance of technology boundaries. Notifications, emails, and constant connectivity can trap you in reactive mode, where you're always responding but never truly progressing. Setting boundaries with your devices, turning off non-essential notifications, scheduling specific times to check email, and using tools to minimize distractions can help you regain control over your time and attention. The chapter closes with a call to action. Start identifying your personal time thieves by tracking your daily activities honestly and critically. Recognize what steals your time and commit to eliminating or controlling these culprits. This awareness is the gateway to buying back your time and building a life that's truly yours. Chapter 3. The Power of Delegation. How to multiply your time by letting go. In Chapter 3, Dan Martell zeroes in on one of the most game-changing strategies for reclaiming your freedom: delegation. If you want to build an empire, you need to stop trying to do everything yourself. This chapter reveals why holding on to every task is a trap and how smart delegation is the key to multiplying your time and accelerating your success. At the heart of this chapter is a simple but powerful truth. Your time is your most valuable asset, and try to do everything alone will only keep you stuck. Dan explains that many entrepreneurs fall into founder's trap, thinking they must handle every detail to maintain quality and control. But this mindset leads to burnout and blocks growth. Dan challenges you to rethink what only you can do. He introduces the idea of a delegation filter, a way to evaluate each task by asking, is this something only I can do, or can someone else handle it? If it's not uniquely yours, it's time to delegate. This mindset frees you from the busy work and lets you focus on the high-impact actions that only you can take to grow your business. The chapter highlights the importance of building a trusted team. Delegation isn't just about offloading tasks. It's about empowering others and creating a system where your business runs smoothly without your constant involvement. Dan walks through practical steps on how to hire and train people, from virtual assistants to specialized contractors, emphasizing that good delegation means clear instructions and ongoing communication. One major hurdle Dan addresses is the fear of losing control. Many entrepreneurs worry that if they delegate, the quality will suffer or things won't be done their way. Dan shatters this myth by sharing that the biggest risk is not delegating, because you limit your own growth and keep your business stuck. He encourages starting small, delegating low-risk tasks, and gradually increasing as trust builds. Another critical point is that delegation isn't a one-time event. It's a skill you develop. Dan advises creating systems and processes that make delegation repeatable and scalable. Document your workflows, use project management tools, and set clear expectations to make handing off work seamless. The chapter also dives into the psychology of delegation, learning to let go of perfectionism and control. Dan encourages adopting a mindset of trust, understanding that mistakes are part of growth for both you and your team. By shifting from a do-it-yourself mentality to a leader's mentality, you unlock more time, reduce stress, and create space for strategic thinking. Dan wraps up Chapter 3 with a call to action. Identify tasks you can delegate this week, start small, and commit to growing your team and systems. The payoff? More freedom, faster business growth, and a life where you're not chained to your to-do list. Chapter 4. Reclaim your time, the art of time blocking and prioritization. In Chapter 4, Dan Martell tackles one of the most crucial habits for anyone serious about reclaiming their freedom, mastering your calendar through time blocking and prioritization. He points out that without controlling your schedule, you're at the mercy of other people's demands, distractions, and endless interruptions that steal your focus and productivity. Dan begins by highlighting a common trap. Entrepreneurs who keep it chaotic open calendar trying to handle it all, but end up overwhelmed and reactive rather than proactive. The key to breaking free? Taking control of your time with intentional planning. Time blocking is Dan's go-to strategy. Instead of leaving your day wide open, you divide it into dedicated chunks for specific activities, whether it's deep work, meetings, exercise, or downtime. This forces you to guard your time like a fortress, minimizing multitasking and distractions. Dan emphasizes that when you protect your focused work time, your productivity skyrockets, and you can actually accomplish more in less time. He also dives into prioritization, explaining that not every task is created equal. The question isn't just what do I need to do, but what is the one thing I should focus on that will move the needle the most? Dan encourages using the 80-20 principle to identify the few activities that generate the most impact and scheduling those first in your calendar. The chapter underscores the importance of boundaries. Dan challenges you to be ruthless about saying no to non-essential meetings and distractions that don't align with your highest priorities. He also advises building unscheduled time for rest and personal priorities, reminding you that time blocking isn't about cramming more in, but making space for what truly matters. Dan shares practical tools and techniques. Color-coded calendars, digital planners, and batching similar tasks together to improve efficiency. He suggests setting buffer zones between tasks to avoid burnout and mental fatigue, plus regular weekly reviews to adjust your schedule and priorities. One of the most powerful insights in this chapter is that reclaiming your time is a mindset shift. You move from being a reactive doer to a proactive creator of your day. Instead of letting your day happen to you, you design it intentionally to support your goals and lifestyle. The chapter closes with challenge. Block out tomorrow's calendar in advance, focusing on your highest priorities first. Commit to treating your time as your most valuable asset, and watch how this simple habit transforms your productivity and freedom. Chapter 5, The Replacement Ladder, Buyback, Step by Step. In Chapter 5, Dan Martell introduces what he calls a replacement ladder, a structured system for buying back your time, one task and one role at a time. He explains that entrepreneurs often feel stuck doing everything themselves because they don't know how to delegate effectively, or they fear no one else can do it like they can. The replacement ladder is the antidote to that fear. Dan lays out clearly, you don't start by hiring a high-powered solo or executive assistant. You begin at the bottom, with low-cost, time-consuming tasks that drain your energy and keep you from doing what actually grows your business. Things like cleaning, errands, inbox management, scheduling, or basic customer support. These tasks don't require your unique skill set, and offloading them creates your first pocket of freedom. As you go up the ladder, the idea is to continuously identify the lowest value tasks you're still doing and replace yourself by delegating or hiring for that task. Dan encourages readers to do a time and energy audit, a brutally honest review of how you're spending your hours each week and how those tasks make you feel. Anything that drains your energy and doesn't generate major impact, that's your starting point. The power of the replacement ladder lies in its step-by-step logic. You're not making one massive leap. You're upgrading your time in layers, reinvesting your reclaimed hours into higher leverage activities, innovation, vision, sales, and relationship building. And then you repeat the process. Dan also gets real about the emotional blockages, control, guilt, perfectionism. Many entrepreneurs feel like they can't let go or that delegation is a sign of weakness. He flips that on its head. Delegation, he argues, is actually a superpower. It's what allows you to operate in your buyback rate, the task where you generate the most value per hour. He breaks down how to calculate that rate, showing you exactly when it's financially smart to pay someone else to do something so you can focus on higher value work. For example, if you make $500 an hour coaching or consulting, why are you spending 3 hours doing $15 per hour tasks? Dan walks you through how to start the hiring process even if you're brand new to it. What roles to prioritize, how to train, how to document processes, and how to make sure your team can operate without constant hand-holding. It's about building a machine that works without you at the center of every task. By the end of the chapter, Dan leaves you with one clear message. Freedom is built through replacement, not addition. You don't need to do more. You need to do less of the wrong things and more of the right ones. The replacement ladder gives you the roadmap. Chapter 6, The Time Assassins. Eliminate what steals your freedom. In Chapter 6, Dan Martell introduces a bold idea. If you want to reclaim your life, you have to go to war with what's stealing it. He calls these enemies time assassins. These aren't just tasks or responsibilities. They're habits, beliefs, people, and commitments that slowly bleed your hours dry without offering any real return. Dan kicks off the chapter by exposing the subtle ways we let these assassins in. Maybe it's constantly checking emails, overcommitting to low-value meetings, micromanaging your team, or getting sucked into social media. On the surface, it all feels productive, but it's really just busy work disguised as importance. And it's killing your ability to focus on what actually moves the needle. He dives into the psychology behind why we tolerate these assassins. Fear of missing out, people-pleasing, a false sense of obligation, or even a lack of clarity about what really matters. If you don't know your highest value activities, how can you know what to say no to? That's why Dan introduces the cancel, automate, delegate framework. Before hiring, before scaling. You cancel what doesn't need to happen, automate the repetitive stuff, and delegate what doesn't require your genius. He emphasizes that most entrepreneurs are way too quick to delegate and way too slow to cancel. Not everything needs to be done. Some things need to die. Dan shares real stories from his own life, how he used to say yes to every meeting, every coffee, every pitch, until he realized he was working 80-hour weeks and hating his own company. Cutting out the time assassins wasn't just a productivity move. It was an emotional breakthrough. It gave him peace. He challenges readers to create what he calls a no list, a hard list of things you no longer tolerate. That might be checking email first thing in the morning or answering your phone after 6 p.m. Maybe it's dealing with problem clients who drain your energy. Whatever it is, it has to go. Then he dives into tactical ways to fight back. How to batch your calendar, implement no meeting days, use tools to automate scheduling, or pre-record responses to common questions. He even talks about the psychological shift required, permission to protect your time like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. By the end of the chapter, Dan drives home this truth. You can't scale chaos. If your days are full of distractions and noise, adding more team, more clients, more tools, none of it will help. You'll just burn out faster. The solution isn't more capacity. It's more clarity. And that starts by taking out the time assassins. Chapter 7, The Replacement Ladder. Build the team that buys back your time. In Chapter 7, Dan Martell lays out one of the most transformative frameworks in the entire book, the replacement ladder. This is the system you use to strategically build a team around you, one that frees you up to focus on what you do best while your business keeps growing, without you being in the middle of every damn thing. The core message? You don't just hire people to do stuff. You hire people to buy back your time. And the way you do that isn't random. It's intentional. It's layered. It's a ladder. Dan breaks the replacement ladder into levels, starting from the bottom with the lowest value tasks and working your way up to high-level strategic roles. You start by identifying the $10 per hour tasks, the stuff that burns your time but doesn't require your genius. Think inbox management, scheduling, invoicing, or customer service. These are the first things to go. Next, you climb the ladder, offloading $100 per hour tasks like social media management, video editing, bookkeeping. Eventually, you move toward the $1,000 per hour tasks, sales, marketing strategy, product development, until you hit the top, where you're finally doing only the things that you're truly world-class at. Dan emphasizes that most entrepreneurs screw this up by hiring in the middle. They hire experts or managers before getting rid of basic administrative tasks, which keeps them trapped doing low-value work. Instead, you should be buying back time at the bottom first. That's where you get the biggest ROI fastest. He also debunks the myth that delegation means compromise. In fact, he argues the opposite. When you hire the right people and give them ownership, your business actually performs better. You just have to let go of the control freak inside you, the one that whispers, "No one can do it like I can." That voice is lying. It's protecting your ego, not your future. Dan shares his personal journey here, how he resisted hiring a full-time assistant for years, thinking he couldn't afford it. But when he finally did, everything shifted. He had time to think, to lead, to innovate, to spend time with his family. Buying back his time didn't just improve his business. It improved his life. He gives tactical advice, too. How to write job descriptions, onboard team members, create SOPs, standard operating procedures, and use Loom videos to document tasks instead of wasting hours writing them out. It's all about speed and clarity. The goal of the replacement ladder isn't just delegation. It's elevation. It's about climbing to the level where you're irreplaceable, doing only what lights you up and drives your company forward. Everything else? Hand it off. Someone else is dreaming of that job. Give it to them. By the end of this chapter, Dan's message is loud and clear. Build your team like your life depends on it, because your freedom does. Chapter 8. The Time Assassins. Eliminate the hidden killers of your productivity. In Chapter 8 of Buyback Your Time, Dan Martell shifts gears and introduces us to the silent killers that sabotage our schedules. Time assassins. These aren't just distractions. They're the hidden habits, mindsets, and toxic patterns that quietly steal your hours, energy, and mental bandwidth. And the scary part? Most of the time, we don't even realize it's happening. Dan breaks down 3 major categories of these assassins: time theft, time traps, and time toxins. Each one is deadly in its own way, and each one keeps you stuck in the weeds instead of operating like the high-level entrepreneur you're meant to be. Let's talk about time theft. This is when someone takes your time without your permission. Endless meetings, constant Slack messages, people popping in with just one quick thing. Dan's take? If your calendar isn't guarded like a fortress, it will be raided daily. He teaches you how to set firm boundaries, control your schedule, and stop being available 24/7. Because being accessible doesn't mean being productive. It just means you're constantly reacting. Then comes time traps. These are the tasks and habits you keep doing because you've always done them, even if they don't move the needle. Maybe it's editing your own podcast, answering every email yourself, or micromanaging your team. Dan challenges you to audit your daily tasks and ask one question: would I pay someone my hourly rate to do this? If not, it's a trap, and it needs to go. The last category is brutal: time toxins. These are the people, commitments, or energy-sucking relationships that drain your motivation. Maybe it's the negative team member you keep around out of guilt, or the toxic client who constantly disrespects your time, or even that friend who dumps their drama on you every week. Dan is ruthless here. If someone's presence costs you your peace and productivity, it's time to cut the cord. Your calendar should reflect your values, not your emotional baggage. But Dan doesn't just leave us with warnings. He hands us weapons. He talks about time blocking, using automation to eliminate recurring tasks, and running calendar audits where you ruthlessly ask, is this task a good use of my energy? If not, delegate it, delete it, or defer it. This chapter is a gut check. It forces you to look at your time not just as hours on a clock, but as the most precious currency you have. And if you're letting thieves, traps, and toxins run loose, no amount of ambition can save you. Dan's message lands hard. You don't need more time. You need fewer time assassins. Clear them out, and you'll be shocked by how much time and freedom you already have. Chapter 10. The Replacement Ladder: How to Systematically Buy Back Every Hour. In Chapter 10 of Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell introduces one of the most powerful tools in the book: the replacement ladder. It's not just about outsourcing or hiring. It's about understanding who to hire next and why. based on where you are in your business and what's draining your energy the most. Dan starts by addressing the entrepreneurial mistake most people make: hiring out of desperation instead of strategy. Many entrepreneurs wait until they're overwhelmed or drowning in tasks before they bring someone on board. But the replacement ladder flips that narrative. It gives you a clear framework to climb up, starting from the tasks that waste your time to most of the ones that require high-level delegation later. The ladder has 5 rungs. At the bottom are household tasks: laundry, cleaning, grocery shopping, meal prep. Dan says that if you're spending valuable mental energy and time on these things, you're robbing yourself of leverage. For $15 to $25 per hour, you can start buying back hours from your personal life that could be used to focus on your health, creativity, or business. The second rung is administrative support. This includes hiring a virtual assistant to handle email, calendar, inbox sorting, travel bookings, and repetitive digital tasks. These are things that clutter your mental bandwidth. Dan argues that offloading them isn't a luxury. It's survival for someone building an empire. Then comes delivery, the third rung. If you're in a service-based business, this means bringing on someone to help deliver your core offer. This is a transition from being the only service provider to building a team that can replicate your results without your direct involvement. Next, you climb to the sales rung. Dan makes the case that sales, while important, shouldn't always stay on your plate forever. Once you have a script, a predictable sales system, and repeatable processes, it becomes more valuable to teach others to sell than for you to keep doing it all. Buying back sales time allows you to focus on business development, partnerships, or scaling up. Finally, at the top of the ladder is leadership. This is where you start hiring executives and leaders to own entire functions: marketing, operations, finance. Dan calls this the empire builder zone, where your job shifts from doing to deciding, from reacting to directing. At this point, you're not working the business. You're designing and optimizing it from the top down. But here's the twist. Dan doesn't just tell you what to do. He tells you when. He emphasizes that you don't climb the ladder randomly. You do it in order based on your hourly rate and your energy audit. You calculate how much your time is worth based on income goals and available hours. And then look at what you're doing that costs less than that rate. If you're doing $10 per hour tasks and want to be earning $200 per hour, you're in the way. Dan closes a chapter with a challenge. Climb the ladder with intention. Don't try to do it all at once. Hire one role at a time. Free up time. Use that time to generate more income and impact. Then move to the next rung. This is how you scale your freedom without losing your grip. This is how you build a business that serves your life, not the other way around. Chapter 11, Buying Time for Your Life, the Freedom Multiplier. In Chapter 11 of Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell shifts focus from business to life, and it hits differently. After all the tactics and strategies around hiring, delegation, and scaling your company, he delivers a powerful reminder. What's the point of buying back time if you don't use it to live fully? This chapter is about injecting meaning and joy into the space you create. Dan warns that too many entrepreneurs fall into the trap of buying back time only to fill it with more work, more hustle, more meetings. He calls this the productivity hamster wheel, where you gain efficiency just to stay busy and miss the real reason you started this journey in the first place: freedom. So he pushes you to confront this hard truth. If you don't have a clear vision of the life you want, you'll default to what's familiar: being busy. That's why Dan introduces a concept of the freedom multiplier. The idea that intentional use of your time outside of work can create momentum in your business and fulfillment in your personal life. He asks powerful questions. What do you want to feel more of in your life? What activities light you up? What relationships need more of your presence? What moments make time stand still? And more importantly, are those things actually on your calendar? Dan shares his own habits, like scheduling time for mountain biking, coaching his kids' sports, date nights, quiet reflection, and fitness. These aren't optional or indulgent. They're essential. They recharge him so he can lead powerfully when he's back at work. He challenges readers to add these kinds of appointments to their calendar before filling it with meetings and calls. Because if your calendar doesn't reflect your values, your life won't either. Then comes a golden insight. Your most creative, strategic ideas rarely show up when you're grinding at your desk. They show up when you're out walking in the gym, laughing with loved ones, or unplugging from the chaos. Buying back time isn't just about doing less. It's about making room for your best self to emerge. Dan wraps up the chapter with a challenge that hits home. Design your life as if it's your most important product. Be deliberate with your time. Protect it. Nourish it. Build routines, habits, and experiences that make you feel alive. When you do that, you don't just build a successful business. You build a legendary life. That's how you buy back your time, reclaim your freedom, and start building the empire you deserve. Which strategy from today's video are you going to implement first? Let me know in the comments below. I read every one. If this summary gave you value, please subscribe to Detailed Book Summaries, and share this video with anyone who's ready to get unstuck and level up their life. Thanks for watching, and remember, your time is your greatest asset. Use it wisely.